false, if you will. All eyes for me have to be on Vital. You know, he's been touted as this great rookie coming in, only 17 years old from Korea. Whether or not he has the composure to play at this level.
Yeah, certainly yet to be seen, right? And I think that when you have a look at the Direwolves lineup, their bottom lane doesn't have that much of a hard job. They do really win through their side lanes and the collapse that Chippies and Shock are able to bring. They both have very unique champion pools when you compare them to other members in the OPL. So I think that Vital should be able to come and play a fairly standard game. He is going up against, however, one of the more dangerous bottom lanes in the OPL. Praetor's coming across from the Legacy lineup, and of course Rogue, formerly FBI's partner in crime, from the Bombers lineup, and before that Order. So I think that, you know, this is going to be a good litmus test for the young man from the Direwolves. Certainly is a warm welcome to the OPL.
I think it will be a warm welcome indeed. Set being taken away after what we saw in last game. Incredibly strong, but unable to really close things out there.
I think Set is going to be significantly weaker in pro play. He's one of those champions that's very prone to be getting caught out. He does have a kind of one-and-done mentality as well with his combo. Yep. If he gets CC'd in the middle of it, he certainly just will fall down. So I'm not surprised that teams like Pentanet don't really want to deal with it in a side lane for someone like Chippies, but I don't think it is going to be, you know, that must-pick ban that it kind of is in solo queue right now.
Speaking of must-pick bans, Karthus taken away, which leaves Akali open, and that was the quickest insta-lock I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying it yesterday. I think Akali had something like 40 bans in pro play and
100% presence.
Yeah, 100% presence. She's the most ban champion in the game right now. And the fact that Shock and Chippies both play it is certainly one of those things that you have to watch out for, because they go into mid or top lane right now. And very independent champion. You don't really have to build a comp around it. Just it's all-round strong.
Yep, it will do damage or execute, and if you have the utility and firepower behind it, anybody that's dangerously low, kind of like what Prey listed on Echo, able to get in there and get the job done. So I think both teams right now are incredibly happy. I mean, we're definitely racing through this draft, so no questions there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, Misfortune versus Aphelios is starting to become a very standard matchup in that bottom lane. Center does seem to be getting slept on a little bit. We have seen the strength of it once already today, as Legacy were able to grind back that win. It is going to be Sully with one of his more favored counter picks. He's not a huge Lee Sin player, however, does play the champion. Does like to play a lot of the Lee Sin counters, however. So things like the Rek'Sai, like the Olaf, will be picked up pretty often by Sully, I would assume. Also a pretty good Gragas player, so he would be comfortable in this matchup versus Miro.
Yeah, Rek'Sai, an interesting you know, champion, because you're looking to really emit some strong pressure, kind of like what we saw at least in the last game. You want to get in there, you want to pump it down, and you really want to try and emit yourself, because as you start to get into those mid-late game stages, you find yourself just so dangerously weak.
I just want to point out to everyone on camera that I didn't listen to anything you just said, because Nick brought in drinks, and instead of taking the drinks off him, you pointed at the ground and made him place the drinks at your feet.
I was trying to be professional.
Trying to be professional is what we're going with right now.
I've got this reputation to uphold. I'm the new kid on the block. I've got to try and make myself seem like I'm in the modes. You've been around here for donkey's years, so you
really have. Some would say too long. I'm looking at you, Twitch chat. Not surprised to see Syndra taken away. We kind of mentioned this yesterday, but is definitely a flex pick right now for this lineup, and Shock does play it really well. Obviously with Misfortune, probably not as much of an issue. Camille, also one of Chippy's better champions, and that's pretty quickly going to be Leona locked in. That is a lot of engagement coming out of the bottom lane right now of Pentanet.
Yeah, it really seems to me as if you know, Direwolves have gone down this direction of wanting to have damage, wanting to get in there and get damage, or even just brute force potential in your face with CC and all those different threats. We want to just basically shut it down and survive it. You know, you're taking away two big burst mages. What do? They flex it across and say, look, well, we're going to have more engage on our end as well. So for Direwolves, it's literally like Misfortune sits in the back, and there's a bunch of people just getting in your face about it.
Yeah, and I mean, that is kind of difficult for Misfortune to navigate, because she is prone to dive herself. Biopanther probably going to be looking to isolate Vital, I would say, in these team fights, because it doesn't really win the 1v1 versus the others. However, this is an interesting counter pick. Veigar, not a champion that we see all that often. I think it's actually Veigar. Not a champion we see all that.
Veigar?
I think it is Veigar, because he's named after a rider who's Riot Veigar. So I'm going to say that's him.
That's something that's been always big hot debate, and I've always blamed it down to localization or accents, but I like this. You know, I spoke about it before briefly with the double burst mages taken away. I mean, if you're thinking about threats coming at you, he will delete one.
Well, the thing is, you can't dash in, right? So it stops Nautilus, it stops Akali, and also will make Mira's job or Mia's job very difficult. So I think that this is an unique pick, and this is what we kind of said about Pentanet. They are a team that have very strange solo laners. Biopanther historically has played things like the Mundo, but also known for his gangplank. Then you have Getback, who is a good Akali player himself, but obviously has things like the Pocket Vega available. And they're much more of a group as 5 comp versus what is usually the 1-3-1 of the Direwolves lineup.
Be interested to see with that tech pickup how that disrupts the plan that Direwolves were looking to achieve. It started with an Akali that's finished out with, well, 4 different threats that can get into your face. So as long as he's available, as long as that Vega is there, may just disrupt things a little bit too much for them. But gives them that scaling potential. Obviously, they're going to be wanting to work on the back of that early game for Soli and then the later game stages for Getback. But we do have the Direwolves coach on standby.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Yeah, good, man. Yourself? How do you feel about this one?
I kind of buggered up the draft, to be honest with you. Like, I really could have seen, like, we're coming to the last ban, coming to the 5th ban, and we're a bit indecisive on what to ban at that point. It should have been obvious that they were trying to leave Akali up in order to play the Vega matchup, like, quite an easy one for them. And I just really didn't see it coming. So that's kind of my bad. It should have been obvious.
So with that in mind, you've got a pretty good 1-3-1 comp versus what does look to be more of a group bum rush comp, as we like to call them. How do you hope that your team navigates this game?
Yeah, so yeah, you're correct. And I think the team fighting meta is kind of the meta right now. And what we're kind of betting on is we've got Miru, who's just an amazing Lee Sin, as a lot of people know. Get everyone rolling early in the game. Hopefully he can get a kill on Chippies particularly. And then that matchup definitely becomes a bit of a steamroll. Just let him sit in the side and be like, cool, you have this team fighting comp. You're going to have to find these. And you're going to have to go against people who I think are mechanically a lot better than you anyway. And you're going to have to force these team fights and fight in these team fights. And then we're betting on the fact that, you know, Rogue's a little bit over anxious a lot of the time for fights. Be like, go in anyway, we'll just kill you. You're going to get too over anxious for fights because Chippies is up there just pounding bio.
All right, so see whether that can work out. And obviously, the OPL so far has been a little bit strange. You know, we've been talking about the Gravitas and Mammoth situation, where teams sit at the top of the board. How do you think everyone is playing so far in the league, and where do you think you guys currently, you know, are shaking up to sit?
Yeah, it's kind of super hard to tell. That you can go off scrims, but I think every result, anyone who's watched scrims can kind of tell it's not really been what's happening as well. It really comes down to just who's in form, and I don't really think any team is particularly in form at the moment. Like, I really thought that Auto was going to win today based off scrims. Obviously, I was wrong. And then, you know, we haven't really had the start we wanted to yesterday either, so hopefully having these two back in for their trial would be really nice, that they can just, you know, pull the win through for us and show that they should have the spot.
I suppose really off the back of that question, do you think, as one final note, do you think the power rankings that people have given you, do you think they're a fair representation of what you think the potential of this team is?
Oh, I don't think anyone knows. Like, I think like a lot of it is just hot air. We're just talking about what we think is. Like, you don't see scrims. Even with us seeing scrims, we're super confused. We don't know. We'll see. We go weeks where we go like 10-0, and then we go other days where we might, you know, only win like 7. So
it's hard to say.
It's too hard. It's too early. All the imports are still getting used to it. It's impossible to actually give an accurate representation of the teams right now.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. All the best. We'll see you after this one.
Cool. During that, a little bit of interesting play. Huge bottom lane priority generated from the Direwolves, and they go and get a ward on Suli's camp. Suli has done something that maybe even picked up from Spooks. He's gone for a wolf start, which is pretty unique in League of Legends. Will be spotted out up here. However, goes in.
Just showing his face. Saying hello.
And so with that, Mayor's going to have the chance to be able to go for a bottom lane invade. This is kind of a split map situation, and they did mention that they need Chippies to be able to carry in this game. So the fact that this is split bottom map side for the Direwolves and Chippies is getting punished right now in top lane by Biopanther could be something that comes back to bite the Direwolves in the butt.
Yeah, they're definitely keeping those resources up in the top lane there. You can see Chippy's taking it back. Not going to stick around for this one. Sully definitely hot on his tail with that red buff. Really wants to, if anything, force out a flash and just make his priority in the lane that much weaker.
So we see Teleport burnt, you know, level 1, only going to be a longsword picked up. That should be a walk back from Biopanther, and now they can use all of this pressure to be able to regain control on the top side of the map. And this is what I kind of expected coming out of Pentanet. They are a well-coached team. You know, we talked to Western Way yesterday. He's very confident in his, you know, newer team's abilities to be able to pick up concepts that he's trying to teach them. And I think that this is one of those teams that should be one of the smart teams, in quotation marks, of the OPL, and that's certainly very good pathing from the rookie jungler.
There's the situation there. Vital having gone back, and Decoy's recall just being interrupted, so unable to change things around himself, has gone for the dematerializer, so looking to make sure that later on into this game, able to keep those lanes in check, specifically cannons.
Yeah, and I mean, a little bit of a nice hover coming across there from Sully. Felt like Get Back needed that wave to come in. Ooh, big damage.
Decoy is playing rather aggressively here, but you have to wonder if he's baiting based on the fact that Mir is there to stick around. Bait or not, Aphelios takes those.
Yeah, and I mean, Aphelios at the moment just seems to have so much sneaky damage. I've seen so many supports think that they can just freeze a wave or, you know, that they're not going to be bursted out like that. However, it's a very good kill being picked up, and it was already mentioned that Kai felt like this Pentanet team does have a better team fight, that he buggered up the draft a little bit in his own words. And that's only going to make the game more difficult. BF Sword first back coming across for Aphelios.
Yeah, and that's just, exactly what you want, right? You want that dream start, you want to really carry that through. You heard about how they say that Rogue can be a little bit apprehensive at times, but, well, you know, if an opportunity like that comes across, you take those. You definitely do not hesitate for a second, and you get that job done.
Well, Rogue's kind of the opposite. He never hesitates. He's very thirsty to be able to look for engagement. I think that's what actually a lot of teams prey on. You know, we used to allow Bombers to play things like Zyre and Rakan and take skill matchups like Nautilus into it because he was prone to being caught out of position on heavy engaged champions. And this is kind of what the Direwolves have gone for here, right? Nautilus into Leona is something that we see so much, and Nautilus can win it if Leona is over-aggressive in her dive. So we'll see how it works out. Shock. Not just out on a lot of the skills there.
No, definitely keeping up with that CS, which is fantastic. Having a nice little lead. It's whether or not Veigar can do the job to pick this up under the tower as well, but I think really mainly my eyes are focused on Sully and actually how much pressure he can emit, because he is significantly further behind what Mir has achieved on Lee Sin so far.
Yeah, and that's interesting, right? Because Sully is on the counter matchup. However, the early pathing that he went for meant that he got 3 buff, and then he didn't expect his bottom side jungle to be taken whilst Decoy was actually dead. But that was really clever from Mir, so he's now 2 levels up. And in a situation where, you know, he can potentially carry out this early game for his team, which was another one of those keys to success for Kai and the Direwolves lineup.
Yeah, looking to try and null and void what that champion can do, especially later on into the stage, but they will take that advantage. Oh, Dragon resets for a second, but they will have this one in the bag. Lee Sin nowhere near to contest.
You don't really care if it's a Fire Dragon
You
in
don't.
the early game because it's only a little bit of additional percentage stats, and obviously no one really has all of that much picked up right now. I mean, it's a nice to have. You would never say no to the experience that Dragon gives you early, but certainly not something that Direwolves are going to lose sleep over. And the fact that they've been able to recover top lane so successfully after kind of a disastrous early game,
Yeah.
and that Mir has put Sully so far behind, you know, the small advantage in the bottom lane is being completely nullified just through CS advantages elsewhere.
Yep, already level 6 to what Sully's still level 5. He's put a a control wall down there, but he's still going to be spotted on out. He really wants to try and force that pressure that he's managed to achieve in this early game for that 20 CS lead.
And they've kept him there for so long. I was really surprised that Mir stuck around for all of that time. You can see that Rogue and Kratos definitely knew that something was up because they had backed completely off that wave. However, it is just going to be Vital as well as Decoy trying to now get this wave out. We'll see whether Pentanet decide to go for a bit of a fight.
Yeah, staying strong though. He's putting a lot of time into this on his spawn.
Yeah, he wants this to be able to hit the turret, but I just still don't even think that even if they clear this, the Leona's just going to freeze it up, and you can see that lifesteal daggers are there for Praedyth as well, so he's very happy to be able to tank that one. So another disadvantage, another situation where I don't think they got the perfect recall, and Pentanet should be able to push another wave here.
I'd like to see a swap around with that in mind and turn your attention towards the top lane, sort of really get chippies online, maybe focus towards that Rift Herald, having sacrificed the Drake, and continue, because, you know, as a result of all that time wasted, bot lane gets to push him for free. Rek'Sai's now catched up completely with the CS as well, so that massive lead you had at the early game is starting to fall away from you.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it looked like Direwolves were saying, okay, we can go for a lane swap here. We're going to be able to pick ourselves up a Rift Herald. And Pentanet just pushed the bottom lane so quickly that they were forced to go back down there because they wouldn't have won any kind of base race even with the Herald available. So that's a really great read coming across from Pentanet. They actually just picked up 3 turret plates for what will now only be a delayed trade of the Herald. As you mentioned, Dragon already gone off Summoner's Rift, so this was going to be the area that they were focused. And now it looks like a potential 1-3-1 going to be started up here as Pentanet will go back to base.
And it has been a relatively quiet mid lane, so quite happy days for Get Back, who will be given the blue buff so he can carry on stacking on up and become that one-shot beast that we know and detest him for.
Yeah, and I mean, he's going Glacial Augment, right? So this is going to be the Hextech GLP picked up, and then Spooky Ghosts, the Twin Shadows. So he's just going to have so much control in all of these fights. He's going to have such a, huge area of influence with the Event Horizon, of course, that big legacy snare that's stun that still exists in the game, as well as the GLP and Spooky Ghost slows. So he's really a pain to play against Vega, just because of the amount of, I guess, threat area he has for someone like a Vital or someone like a Mir. So definitely have to be very aware of what's happening in this mid-game.
I think really a point to highlight in a meta that is so teamfight orientated is the fact that, yes, we know what Mordekai's can achieve, but the same could be said there for Get Back. The fact that, you can take one member out for a death run for 7 seconds, you can delete another, suddenly you find yourself in a 3v5 situation where if you don't find it within that window, maybe Pentanet start to scratch heads and go, well, we have managed to get a kill, but have we managed to be as convincing as this comp allows us to be?
Potential gang set up here, however. Was spotted out on vision, so Sully doesn't decide to go. And yeah, I agree with you. I think that this is one of those team comps that if they are able to set up in an area, it's going to be very hard to walk into them. Despite how well some of the divers act against other team comps, this is kind of like the situation yesterday where we saw with the Chiefs that if you're got on, normally you're the best engaged tool in the game, but if all of a sudden you're playing against Yasuo, you can't really do anything with that engage, right? And kind of similarly here, you would expect Chippies to look for massive flanks, but if he gets spotted out by the Twin Shadows of Get Back, then he's going to be in a situation where it's very easy to turn the fight on him. So I think that this is where the Direwolves have to be the smarter team. They have to be able to get their side lanes pushed out, create numbers of mismatches for themselves, and be able to take over the control of this game through vision and, just superior team play. Yeah,
I think it makes you start to really bank on that mental capacity, for lack of a better term, right? Where you're really aiming to make sure that every decision you're making is that right one. You might usually play in a certain manner, you might usually come in from a certain angle, but suddenly you're now up against multiple different threats, different combinations, and what would have been a clear-cut engage if we get in your face and we kill someone now has a few more nuances to it.
And you can see that Penta really know that that's the case, because they are always the first team to swap. They're always trying to get a situation, ahead of time, set up better vision, and look for teams to face check. And then as soon as Direwolves do this group, they're winning the side lane push, because you can see already that Praedyth is down, pushing his wave into the turret that only has 2 plates left. That's going to be responded out by Chippy, so this should give a whole lot of time for Pentanet to be able to set up around this dragon area.
They have done that for the time. Shot respecting that threat, he's going to TP on in. That is damage. There's no other way to describe that one. Rogue flashes on in, it would have been so beautiful, but he whiffs it completely. But that is just a little glimpse to what a Veigar can do.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a 0 item Veigar. So the game only gets worse from here for Miru. But that is just going to be Dragon picked up. It's going to be the second Dragon of the game. They're getting the soul nice and stacked early for this one, and I think this is what a lot of people expected from Pentanet. We've already seen just how well drilled they are. They set up around that composition beautifully. Overreach in the mid lane from the Direwolves, trying to get mid lane. One of the easiest ways to contest Dragon is by pushing mid into the turret and then being able to take river control. And that was just never going to be allowed to happen.
Even Mir's facial expression after that one, he even knew it was a little bit awkward how that all came to fruition. But he will need to use this Rift Herald before it does expire.
It's going to be interesting using it topside, right? Because Vilepanther still has his ultimate available, and you need to make sure that you don't get caught in a 1v1. Instead, it looks like they're just going to use it for plate, so not even trying to push through for a turret response of their own. And that means the bottom lane can just continue to shove.
Bot lane carries on shoving. Both junglers are actually putting a priority into the top lane to ensure that either a disengage happens or an engage, either or. They haven't spotted out Sully just yet, so as far as Mir's concerned, it is a 2 versus 1. More resources being put into here. As you say, only a couple of turret plates fall on down, but they're not going to be able to get the full amount before that 14-minute mark.
Yeah, so turret plate going to be exiting, 14 minutes into this game. It is going to be the 1,300 gold lead for the Pentanet lineup. And I mean, this is where the game starts to be getting nervous, because they already mentioned, we felt like we had stronger lanes, that we should be able to take advantage of that. Well, top lane's dead even. We thought that Miru, who was a superior jungle to Sully, was going to be the recipe for success. However, that also hasn't come to the case. In fact, I thought when I first saw Miru play, that Sully was a really good matchup for him. And we actually had planned to use Sully much more last year against junglers like Raze and Miro. Hold the thought.
Hold that forward indeed, because we're going to see action with double teleports, actually triple teleports, 2 in favor for Pentanet GG, who want to start this one right away. Shock does the damage, and that's why Akali gets banned. You are deleted. It's a beautiful positioning there by Vital, the Korean Prodigy on the flank, zoning out 2 members at their tower. This tower still stands, but the Direwolf showing us a little bit as to what they want to achieve.
Yeah, and I mean, that was a very interesting fight because I feel like Vega had all the time in the world to set up there, right? Teleported in nice and early, got the event horizon down, but it was just the sick damage coming across from Akali, who is at that Hextech Gunblade, so very accelerated in this game. 134 CS, actually leading most people on the map. But we'll take another look at it, right? So this is the first teleport coming down, is going to be Vega. So he pops into the team fight, and he's able to get that event horizon down. However, he missed Shippies. That's all it was, and then Biopanther trying to take Shock into the death realm to just save his teammate's life. Instead of going for a kill, maybe, looks for the most aggressive member on the other team to kind of be a nullifying force, which is certainly one of the ways that you can play a Mordekaiser, but if you build up no magic resistance, maybe probably the wrong choice to be able to take to the death realm there. So I think just a little bit of a sloppy fight from Pentanet. However, they do get back onto map first, given the top lane turret was broken, and they're going to grab themselves the Rift Herald. And what I was going to mention is I felt like Sully's playstyle was actually going to be very good against a lot of the aggressive junglers, because he is a farm-oriented jungler. He plays things like Nidalee, things like Karthus, even things like his Rek'Sai are much more counter-gank-oriented than aggressive gank-oriented. And what that means is if you come up with a game plan which is, you know, play a little bit more reserved in lane, maybe go down that 5 or 10 CS, this is a guy that will put the jungle on power farm and can punish some of those ganker-heavy style junglers at the moment. So, haven't seen it obviously yet. Is playing something like a Rek'Sai this game, which isn't necessarily a power farmer, but certainly something to be aware as the season goes on, that he does have a lot of these junglers that are a little bit off-meta and a little bit different from the other OPL jungle playstyles.
Yeah, maybe the adaptation going into this matchup and his own take on what he thinks is the direction need be, perhaps, you know, some coach influence as to, you know, we want you to try and really bully Chippies. We know it's a condition that Direwolves like to try and bank upon. And we'll have an assist to his name now, Chippies, but definitely hasn't had the unlocking potential that we typically see coming out of him. Been a bit of a slow game despite a 20 CS lead. Nothing too major so far. Pentanet GG definitely keeping an eye on things, and they're the ones in the driving seat. I don't think it's really changed much of their game plan from what that fight just really demonstrated to us. They are still the ones that can command these pits, and every single time you come in and try and look for a dragon, you've always got to be considered that big, big threat from Vega.
However, they have now kind of lost positioning on the map because Mordekaiser is still in the top lane, so they're trying to fight pretty heavily for this priority. Chippy still hasn't shown on Summoner's Rift, and they have completely opted to trade side, so they don't feel like they are strong enough to fight right now. Instead, it looks like they're going to drop Herald top side of the map, maybe try and push for a turret or two, while they give that first turret of the game, dragon of the game, over to the Direwolves. And this is where teams do make a little bit of a mistake against Vega. It is impossible to push into him. Unless you kill him right now, which is going to be a tough ask, he can wave clear this by himself.
Yep, and if you push yourself up too close to the tower, Vital incredibly lucky not to have fallen down on that one. Time wasted. They're going to split across with Dragon respawning. Going to pick up an Ocean Drake to their name.
2 turrets here.
But yeah, as you say, 2 turrets are in their midst. One's already fallen on down. Chippies needs to find some value in that bottom lane. A solo kill would be nice. Some form or some avenue to prevent this tower from falling on down.
Okay, you can see Vital coming in.
He's looking for it. It's a very early bullet time. It's going to find a lot of damage onto our primary target in a Leona. Leona jumping on in, taking out Shock. That's a nice little start to the fight. Sorely popping the ultimate to try and, I suppose, buy time, if anything. It definitely was going to be an execution. Decoy with the flash and the hook. The Make It Rain coming on down. Can they find a triple? That's what they're after. It's a double so far for the Korean. And it's going to be a triple cleanup in Isle top lane.
Yeah, really nicely played there for the Direwolves. I mean, they pick up the 3 kills. They do lose a turret, but they're able to preserve the second. And that was so strange because Get Back opted to not try and rotate towards the fight. Instead, he took himself a recall, went back and picked up the Twin Shadows. So that's another major swing in the game. Let's have a look at it. So you can see Miru heading through the jungle right now. I feel like Get Back would have been able to head him off. I feel like in a 1v1 situation, the Vega is currently stronger. However, he decides to take a recall. That means that Rogue is always going to be caught here. You see the flash coming across from Decoy, nails him, Praetor comes back to try and save his AD carry. That's always a rough decision, and then just no hesitation from Miru. Already mentioned how aggressive this guy is as a jungler. He will look for those kills. The kick back towards Vital. 2 kills now picked up for the Misfortune. And Direwolves have their first kind of sizable lead of the game. And that was off Pentanet trying to trade aggressively across the map.
Yeah, and it's basically, you know, as long as Veigar's not there, we need to force these fights, and we have to win these. Because, hey, look, if they're not winning those skirmishes, you've got some serious question marks coming up against your head thinking, well, how do you win? If you can't win when he's not there, you're in trouble. You definitely can't win when he is there, so you need that confidence. You need that sort of chance to find some power spikes to get you, potentially, those God moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you have a look at how this game is now playing down, you can see that Direwolves are really trying to play 3 lanes. However, Pentanet are just holding their Veigar mid, and they're trying to rotate Praedyth around the map. And that is causing Praedyth to fall behind quite significantly in farm, right? So he's now down 40 CS. He also lost down on a couple of those kills just then. And that means that Vital, who is just parked mid lane and like a vacuum cleaner, is hoovering up all that CS, although, hold that thought, he's dead.
It's almost
That's
comical.
what I said. Don't go mid.
The second time it's happened to him, and the outcome was no different from the first. But yeah.
So the way you have to play against Veigar, for those at home, is get control of a side of the jungle and be able to threaten him from 2 angles. If you're just walking at Veigar from one direction, that's all he has to do.
He's going to look for it once again as Rogue tanks up the tower. Decoy goes golden, but it looks nice. Looks even better when it's on the ground if you're a Pentanet GG fan.
And notice, once again, just a one-direction fight, and Veigar just is able to cut off the whole choke point.
Yep.
Just puts down that event horizon, and there's really nothing that Decoy can do once he's in there. And I think this is kind of what Kai was saying, that their team doesn't have the best flank potential. If it's not going to be Lee Sin or Chippy's coming in together, they are relatively squishy. They will get blown
Quite static.
up. So that's why they have to play, I guess, a bigger map game. And it looked like they were doing it, right? We're complimenting them for being 50 CS up on the 80 carry position. You know, you can see Chippy's also 30 CS up. So they were starting to put the macro screws into Pentanet there, but just one mistake. And that is going to be the complete reset on Summoner's Rift. And now Get Back with those 2 items, Spooky Ghost as well as GLP. It's kind of a nuisance in the mid lane.
He's definitely a threat to bear with. That Dark Seal going to be pretty safe as it climbs on up and just becomes ever stronger. He's like a Dyson vacuum cleaner, and he's doing a great job of just soaking all this XP and all the CS and just saying, you shall not pass. Literally, you know, these towers, although they're taking a little bit of damage, they're going to get tickled every single time you come mid.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is where, you know, you have a look at how they've been able to play out this mid game. And really, if Praedyth isn't getting caught in a side lane, then you're never going to be able to break the mid lane turret. And that's what we're seeing. Once again, he catches the wave nice and deep. He is losing CS still, but he's just rotating back towards mid lane. This time it's going to be a fight around bottom side. You can see potentially Chippy's caught out here. Had to flash. It's all right. We'll show it to you next time it happens.
Yeah, it would be interesting if we do have an observer replay to see how that actually went down, but I suppose once again it just proves that there is pressure. Leona is always on the hunt. Mid lane is becoming a bit of a stalemate when it comes to trying to make something happen there. But it does always mean you have the initial, I suppose, presence and control and pressure of all things to say, well, we dictate who goes for the Dragon, who goes for the Baron first, because if you try and get adventurous and try and get some vision down, you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they had to do this one on spawn because you can see the top lane is actually pushing against Pentanet. So the longer they stay here, the more farm and CS they lose. Once again, it's now like 60 CS that Vital is ahead. So on 2 items is certainly becoming a genuine threat if there ever is a team fight that he can get access to. So Pentanet, they get control of the area, they take the objective, and they're now on Soul Point. You feel like they want this game done as quickly as possible. They do not want, you know, Chippies and Shock to be able to continue to scale up in these side lanes, and they want to be able to end their week 1-1.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, for me, I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen from Vital so far. It's his debut today, like I said, 17-year-old out of career, coming in here with what has been described as an explosive and aggressive playstyle. He's not afraid to get in there and be a frontliner and use that bullet time to try and zone out 3 major threats. Let's just say that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that he's kind of had an easy gameplay to go towards. You know, he's just kind of laning 2v1 versus a mid laner right now and soaking up as much CS as possible. Hasn't been able to break turrets, but was fairly good in the laning phase. 2-0 and 0 on farm, you know, well and truly ahead of the clock at the moment. So certainly seeing the potential as a young man.
And this is interesting. This is a moment of reprieve now for your Direwolves fan, because there is no Vega in mid lane. They got some damage. He's just returned, so they all groan and have to go back to what they were doing beforehand. But every single time he has gone, it's like a Hail Mary of go, 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 get in there, get the job done. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that that was a slight misstep there from Pentanet, because they felt like they had to send him to a side lane to deal with Akali. But in reality, Praetus cannot hold that turret as well as what Get Back can. So instead, they just go for a group now, and they're going to look to break mid lane turret first.
Now, teleports are available. Bullet time is going to be used on cooldown. For the most part, it's being used as a ADC version of what Vega can achieve, both cleaning out that mid lane. So it's a big, big stalemate in that regard. All the action seems to be revolving around these objectives as well as those side lanes that you've highlighted.
But the question is, why not do it again? Like, on this wave, you should go for another siege with the Vega, because you know that now there's no bullet time available. What's the next ability that they can use to defend this wave? I don't think it exists, so you can see Pentanet, finally, they go back to it. They have got good guns now set up for Praetus as well. Should be able to siege down this turret with a sniper rifle.
They've got incredible vision. You're looking left side, you're looking right side. They've got control walls. They've got the ability to sort of scout out where people could be. Soliflare coming out there rather aggressively. Maybe a little bit adventurous.
Yeah, that was a very split decision coming across from Pentanet. Rogue wanted to fight. Get Back got hit by one double up and was like, I'm fine not fighting right now. I am very happy to take a reset. You know, I'm very close to getting my death cap. We're going to be okay in this game.
It'd be interesting to note how many stacks he's on right now, because he's definitely the contributing factor as to why Mira is on 2 deaths.
Yeah, we can't see anymore. There used to be a little bit down the bottom left of the screen that I could see stacks and things like that, but now I just have a lovely McDonald's logo.
Makes you hungry, eh?
It does. I'm actually starving again.
Again?
Yeah. You see, what the thing is like, I now have started going back to gym, and it's 6:40, so my eating window is normally like 11 till 7, like intermittent fast. So if I don't get all my food in then, I'm just absolutely banging by the time we get to this part of the show.
Glucose levels down through the floor.
Yeah.
I actually bought McDonald's after this, or after yesterday.
Did you really?
I think the marketing is getting to me, eh?
What did you get?
I got a Hunger Buster.
What's a Hunger Buster?
Oh, it's beautiful, bro. It's so you got a Big Mac, you got chicken nuggets, you got chips, and you have a sundae.
And a sundae.
And it was just a little bit of everything. $15.
What kind of sundae are you?
Caramel sundae.
Oh.
MVP. I love sweet things.
No, I love sweet things as well, but how can you go past a chalky sundae?
Oh, chalky sundae's too bland. It's too boring. You got to get out there, get a little bit creative in life, you know? Do you like spicy food?
Yeah, I love spicy food.
What's your favorite spicy food?
I mean, so I just...
How spicy are we talking? Like, do you eat like Indian, Korean, super spicy?
Yeah.
The devil's tongue?
I don't know what the devil's tongue is. But so because we're Italian, so we would like fry chilies in oil. We just have chili oil on everything.
I like that.
So generally pasta is what I have chilies on.
Good choice. Almost as good choice as this mid lane farming. We're talking about food. As Nick has brought in food. What a beautiful person he is. I want to publicly apologize. I want to publicly apologize before Nick for telling you that can you put my drinks down? I got roasted here.
I think this is going to be another use of the bullet time. Oh, Vital's caught.
He's an elusive figure, I'll tell you that much. And these towers have been standing up for far too long. 28 minutes. And we're still looking at outers.
Certainly are. Vital nearly walked into that event horizon. However, this is going to be Soul. So they have to come in and contest it. We'll see how they decide to do that.
Shock's decided he wants to make something happen. He wants to get rowdy. He's popped that teleport. GLP slows all that down. Finally, the red turret falling on down. Now we might see some action. A turret goes. The members will fall surely. Bullet time finding so much value. Sorely so lucky to get away. Aphelios nearly got the execution onto Decoy. Biopanther is hungry for the 1v3. Can he do it? He's going to fall off down. It's not going to happen. The Direwolves so damn patient, but they get the ace.
Yeah, and that is going to be a huge cleanup team fight for Shock there as well. When the bullet time came across, you could see that Praetor kind of panicked and mispositioned away from his team. That allowed Shock to get into the backline. Good use of the flash to escape the event horizon. That will be Baron picked up. That is going to be nearly a 7,000 gold lead. Let's take another look at what I'm talking about. So Bio Panther in the front line. He's trying to keep Chippies out. Gets hooked up and will go into the death realm. However, now this is where the split happens. Get Back runs so far away from his frontliner in Rogue that when this happens and he gets Shock is able to escape the event horizon, there's just no defense available for him, and just such a split fight is exactly what Akali is looking for. And I think PentaNet would want to have another crack at that one.
I think they really would, because you look at this composition, we've talked about it all during this game. They have a beautiful ability to craft out a spot and say, you are just not going there. But I think it already started, for me at least, with the bullet time, just separating the team, and then Dire was saying, well, fantastic, we've basically made you run away like scurried kids. Now we can dictate how this fight works, not you.
Yeah, it actually started a little bit before that, because what actually happened is that Vital was able to get mid lane positioning, which kind of forces you to go the long way around. We're talking about the easiest way to get towards Dragon is by pushing in that mid lane turret, right? And because the turret fell down, and you could see PentaNet really wanted to defend that, but ultimately were not able to, really caused, I guess, them to be corralled into a choke point. And against Misfortune, against Nautilus, that's certainly not where you want to be. And we're just seeing the strength of what is, the Akali pickup here for Shock. He's now level 16. Is building towards a death cap as well, and it feels like that was nearly the last legs for PentaNet. If they were able to get the Dragon Soul, you would have felt like they were still in a good position in the game, but now that they've lost all those shutdown values and Vital is just so far ahead of Praetor, I don't really feel like there's all that much that PentaNet can do to now stall out this game.
It definitely feels like they are in a, I want to say rough spot, but I think that doesn't really sell the point. I mean, you're 100 CS up against your counterpart, not to mention you've got kills to your name and a bounty across your head. You are a big kill if you can acquire it, but I can't see Direwolves finding any moment to sort of let this up after what was such a passive 10 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, I completely agree, and they've nearly taken the whole of the bottom lane turret on the first push. They haven't really been able to get in at all here, so you can see right now that PentaNet still trying to defend two waves, but I feel like this has to be the engage if they want to be able to stay in this matchup.
My eyes are solely fixated on what Vital can do. He's been a big driving force into making things work in their favor. And then they get a little bit aggressive here. They want to really force it onto Chippies. He will fall on down incredibly quickly. And, well, that's a bit of a spanner in the works. Okay, it buys time. Direwolves do pick up an inhibitor, but they'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. It delays the push for now, right? And that's a really good thing for PentaNet. However, Direwolves still have such huge leads, especially in now mid lane in the 80 carry position, that, Chippies falling down isn't going to be all that bad. Damage already done with the base being broken, and now they can kind of park either the Akali or Chippies on Aatrox down there, who is going to have teleport available and play for Baron number 2. Baron number 1, obviously, it's nice to be able to end the game on it, but to be able to build yourself such a sizable gold lead is going to be enough and stall out PentaNet from being able to, go towards an Elder Dragon or anything like that. That Hail Mary play certainly still not available for them.
Yeah, really, you've established yourself as such a big threat on the map now with everything primarily opened up. You've got vision throughout the roof. And, what was a single ARAM schematic has truly been broken apart. And you start to wonder now, where do PentaNet GG find that next moment? I worry for them if they try and face chicken for that Hail Mary play like you highlight. I feel like for them, they have to almost welcome another siege attempt from the Direwolves for another inhibitor and say, okay, it's now or never.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? I think unless they can find a pick in their jungle through something like the Spooky Ghost coming out from Get Back, that they have to really think about how Direwolves are going to march down a lane and whether they can get a flank off someone like Sully or Biopanther, or if they can just, trap a couple of people in the event horizon. But I guess for me, the worry is that, as we keep mentioning, Praetor's so far behind. Vital, with the cleanse and the flash still available, hasn't really been pressured at all in this game. Now picks himself up that BF Bloodthirster as well, so he's going to have the overheal shield. But it's just now pretty difficult to be able to get the ideal team fight if you are PentaNet. I feel like they've been outscaled a little bit in this game.
And what could be a 3v5 situation with the one shot from Veigar and the Death Realm denial, you start to question, well, do we have enough damage to actually find those extra picks so that when people do come out of that, we are still in a comfortable spot? That is to be seen. as the ARAM in mid lane once again takes place.
Yeah, and that's what they were talking about, you know, picking on Rogue's aggressive tendencies. Rogue was so far ahead of his team there. Good looks for it again.
He's aggressive, you say the name, and the damage comes out. Boys, there are a lot. That's the bullet time to start things off with. Aatrox with the root. It doesn't matter if you've got a Gargle Stone Plate or not, because you will die. Tanky, tanky, tanky. Deleted as he falls on down. There's stopwatches, multiple of them at this stage, and there's just burst. There is so much burst. Double kill for the Veigar. He's finding what he needs. There's only 2 members that survive for the Direwolves. They're resurrecting with GAs, but this might be the turning point that they have been so patient for after losing so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did they win that team fight? That looked like it was perfect for the Direwolves. They withstood the engage from Rogue. They got, once again, a huge bullet time. But BioPanther won the 1v1 versus Vital in the Death Realm. No flash use, no cleanse use. Vital just fell down. That means that Soul is now going to be picked up for Bentonet, and they're back in the driving seat.
That's insane. Really, really is insane. I think for me, Rogue bought so much time to start this engage off.
Yeah, I mean, having a look at it, he catches 2 members, and it looks like a great engage. However, the bullet time is completely unstoppable. And you can see the Rogue goes very low in the early stages of this fight. But this is where it changes to me. Look at BioPanther. He's just outright winning the 1v1. And then a really great event horizon onto Shocker as well. And the damage is just incredibly high. Even though Praedyth as well as Get Back were behind their outright opponents, with Vital not in this team fight, thanks to BioPanther, they really were able to just be untouched on the backline and get all of their damage out.
And they were just cycling cooldowns. I mean, they were just outputting immense amounts of damage and saying, well, you're going to give us this opportunity, those long-term team fights with Vital already gone, we will win. Direwolves coming back into this one, regardless of the Soul say, well, we did feel like we're in the driving seat, we still are 4K ahead of you. Baron might be the play, but I think that is a rightful decision to say, no, let's not throw any more than what we just saw.
And it's always hard to know how far ahead you are in gold, right? Because they would have felt like they really lost that last team fight pretty decisively. So gold stops becoming a factor at that stage. And you can see that they are very aware that, Event Horizon will end. I was going to say they're very aware that bottom lane is still a super creep, and even though Inhibitor going to respawn, you don't want it to fall down just to creeps immediately, so they want to be able to get BioPanther back to that base.
Yeah, they're just doing the mid lane dance right now as they wait for the PvE objectives obviously to push for themselves. Once they spot out somebody going to the bottom lane, you can imagine it's instantly going to be a collapse onto this Baron. Teleport is available for BioPanther, bear in mind.
Yeah, it certainly is, and starting up Baron, once again, is a little bit of a threat. You're really playing into the compositional hand of what Pentanet want. They have themselves a Veigar. Praedyth is going to be able to do a lot of damage. Baron is very low. The fight will have to be now.
Baron is getting absolutely shredded. Rogue starts it off. It's not going to stun anybody, bear in mind. Down to 2K. Are we looking for a smite wall? It's going to be them who actually take it. The bullet time of all things that connects with it. It's already a 1-0 trade in favor of the Direwolves, or all stuck in Event Horizon. That is zoning out so many members, and it's not even Christmas time. There's 2, all in favor of Pentanet GG. They want more, they'll find more. Shutdowns, double kills for both. How did somebody so far behind, as in Praedyth, just get himself back into this?
Yeah, I mean, that's just an amazing fight again from Pentanet, because you can see that Sully went into the pit. They had to fight 4v5. But they just were able to corral members once again into the choke point of the Baron, even with Shock on the flank, even with Sully dead before the fight starts. Pentanet pick it up, and they might have just won the game.
It's looking like that to me here, Spawn. We're looking at respawn timers of 15 seconds and counting. Baron or no Baron, it's not going to matter. They're working on tower number 1 and surely towards this core.
Yeah, it certainly should be the case. I mean, still 10 seconds before majority are available. That's going to be it.
That is going to be it. That's going to be a GG and a 37-minute affair. Pentanet GG beat the Direwolves.
And finally, we're starting to see glimpses of Pentanet and why people rated them so highly in this off-season. More of the cerebral team that we don't often see in the OPL. Cheeky drafts both days, and this one certainly worked a little bit better than last. Smiles all around for the boys. It's great to pick up your first win of the OPL 2020 in week number 1. And you got to say that it felt like Direwolves were in complete control of that game until they just weren't.
They really weren't. No, it was all in their favor. The fights were going well. The CS was obviously in their advantage. They had the item leads, to say the absolute least. But there was that one moment where you had the strategy that Pentanet were completely revolving around come to fruition. And as soon as they gripped it, they never let go.
Yeah, absolutely. And all I'm saying is, where's Toby and Cupcake? All I'm saying is one Direwolves lineup undefeated right now. And that's the sub lineup. And then the other lineup, not doing too crash hot.
Look, big props to Vital. Look, I think for his debut at such a young, impressionable age, he put in a solid amount of work. He's going to be upset with that defeat, but they had some fantastic moments, and Pen and GG are just lucky that they were able to get that one decisive team fight and just carry it on from there.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just the fact that they had such a well-crafted composition together. So I think that, they really did play towards their win condition. It was very nice to see.
It was very nice to see indeed. So Pen and GG pick up the win as we jump back to the couch for an interview.
Welcome back. Oh, Pentanet, what a win. Rogue, hello. Welcome.
This is a new setup.
It is. Have you only just noticed?
Yeah.
You don't watch the segments?
No, I didn't notice.
I know you did. Yeah, it's open. There's a huge couch. You could lie down if you want. Don't.
You need to do team interviews with this couch.
We could literally. It's enormous.
That would be chaos.
It's far too big. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
There were people in the chat who were doubting you, and in fact told me to roast people who said that you were a top 3 team. What do you have to say to those people?
I think the people who care about people's power rankings and people who just honestly are not in a position to have a relevant opinion, you just who cares?
Good.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Previous years you should care, and people care, and it's why? People have their power rankings, they have their opinion. Who cares? Just be better.
And how are you finding the new team?
I love this new team. Honestly, my expectations of how good of a team it would be, they've just been blown away. We had a meeting earlier this week, and the whole team kind of all agreed that coming into this, we didn't expect that we could be a team that wins, and now kind of sat down and said, guys, what's our goal for the year? And everyone said, well, let's win it. We can do it. I think, honestly, right now, I think our team plays better than any other team in the league. And that's a big statement, but our team plays miles ahead of any other team that I've been on previously for a week 1 team. And it's probably our biggest strength. So,
what's the secret? What is it with you guys? Is it being good friends?
I'm not going to lie. I have to give a lot of props to our coach, Western Way. I don't think everyone's had the best opinion of him, but I don't know what happened in the EU hyperbolic time chamber. Yeah, but that guy came back and his macro knowledge is insane.
Really?
Yes. He's been teaching us things and teaching me personally things and making me... I've become a brain player. And so he's taught me so many things.
And before you were a gut player?
I was a hands fingers player.
Yeah.
I think most people nowadays are hands fingers players.
So you see
a lot of young
in a whole
guns.
new way.
Yeah, it's actually eye opening when you see games more so than just your champion. You see the whole team. That's how I see it now. These last 2 games, it's been really hard for me adjusting, seeing the game as more than just myself, and it probably reflects really badly in my gameplay where I'm just throwing seal shots the wrong direction and hoo-ha. But I'm thinking about the other side of the map, right?
But it feels better for the team, right?
Yeah, it feels a lot better for the team, right? It's a whole new game now. I'm excited. I've never been so motivated to play League of Legends before. I'm actually pumped.
And this is all because of Western Way?
I would say he has a large impact. A very large impact in this. I think it's everyone, though. I don't know.
You're just feeling good about this split.
I'm feeling good about this
There's
split.
a lot of positivity.
I think everyone's sleeping on us.
You're a changed man. You haven't mentioned cats once while you've been sitting on this couch.
No, we're a dog team. We're getting a new dog tomorrow, by the way.
Oh my god.
Yes, 2 dogs.
What kind of dogs?
They're both border collies. Our manager is obsessed. Oh, you can do your interview now. I'm sorry.
That's such a good dog. Direwolves gave him a slugfest, though. Rusty.
Yeah, it wasn't the easiest game, I would say. Direwolves, there was a lot of strong mechanical moments as well from players like Shock that made things very difficult for the side of Pensanet to deal with. But at the end of the day, they've got the Veigar. You sit in mid lane, plant your feet down, and you'll end up winning eventually because Veigar is just such a good pick into the Direwolves comp.
Well, congratulations on the win, mate. But more than that, congratulations on the reinvigoration for League. It's very exciting. And you've been on some great teams, so this is saying something. Do you reckon if you win, they'll give you the keys to the city of Perth?
I think they'll give us the city of Perth. The whole thing. What's the real estate value of Perth?
Well, it's mainly rocks underneath that are the valuable part. So, we've got at least.
We'll just dig it up. We'll make it a hole in the city. Yeah. Remember that Simpsons movie? How they made the big hole? That's going to be Perth.
That's going to be Perth?
When I'm done mining it.
Oh my god. Okay, cool. Well, maybe reconsider those keys to the city. We'll be back after this short break.